people. Hello, today in my channel, Olli Herman from Reckless Love. Olli, hi, nice to see you. Great to have you
Nice
here
to
on
see
my
you too.
channel. How are you? How was your day so far?
I'm actually, well, I cannot lie. I'm suffering from a headache, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at least I get to do a fun interview and talk about my favorite subject, about myself and the band I sing in. Just kidding, man. But yeah, I'm feeling really good.
Hmm.
I hope it's the same for you.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good to
Yeah,
hear.
the question is now very actual. 2 years of the pandemic, how have the 2 years been for you? You posted on your social media that you had a positive test as well, Jale and Hesse. How did everything go?
Oh, we were really lucky. We didn't suffer like any of the worst symptoms. But I think it's got something to do that we all were vaccinated like at least 2 times, so we could barely notice any of the worst symptoms. I had a quite bad fever, but then yeah, Jesu and Jalle, they didn't have that much. I think Pepe, our guitar player, had it the worst. He had it took like 3 weeks to get better.
Oh.
I mean, he had a pretty severe one, but nothing that serious though. That's a positive thing. So, you know, he got well.
Okay, great. Okay, congratulations on the new album,
Thank you
Turborider,
very much.
25th February. Are you excited and are you satisfied with the first reactions to the album?
Very satisfied with the first reactions and everything. Of course, I anticipated there's quite a lot of kind of like talks about the new approach, which is pretty much, it's quite new. But I've got something, that might not come as a surprise for everybody because it's not completely new. There's something new, but not like the essence and the core is still there. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of talks about that, but if we just like look at the numbers so far, which is like it's always a bad measurement for music because you can't like always like you can't like measure how good how good of a song it is if no matter what the numbers are. But it's it's like the best streaming bunch of songs that we've ever released basically. So Turborider, Eyes of a Maniac, and Outrun have already streamed together almost 1 million before we even released the record, which is, it's by far the best we've ever done. And right now, today we got the news that our monthly listeners on Spotify have shot through the roof. They're pretty much almost tripled since over the course of past 3 months. So, there's more than 300,000 of monthly listeners now, which is always a nice bit of news too.
Yeah,
to hear.
It's great. Yeah.
So yeah, very well received, I'd say.
Yeah. The last album, Invader, was pure rock and roll, pure hard rock album. But there was enough discussion on the internet that album is too modern or something heavy. Now Turborider, completely opposite of that. Who had the idea to record such a record and why?
People have such short memories.
Yeah.
Because I mean, already on Invader, we had lots and lots of criticism on the poppier sounds and the synth heavy sounds of Scandinavian Girls and Child of the Sun. Those two songs were way too poppy and way too synthy for most of the people. And same thing, I remember hearing similar stuff about or the criticism by the haters were a song called Monster got a lot of criticism for sounding a little bit like the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
And now on this record, there's criticism that we sound much more like '80s pop band than the '80s metal band. There's always criticism. I mean, it's pretty much each and every time we do anything, there's bound to be criticism. There's bound to be unhappy people who are not satisfied with the with the way that we express ourselves, and that's kind of like something that, you know, I think it's the modern age. I mean, people on the internet feel like it's their duty to tell us that they don't like something that we've done, and it's okay if you don't like it. Fine, you know, it's you know, you don't have to listen to it though.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the sounds of Turborider, it's kind of like a modern twist. It's the ultimate '80s. It's the ultimate retro type of feel, but it's kind of like a futuristic retro in the same time. There are '80s elements in there that nobody pretty much have used, or well, people have used them, but not to this extent. Kind of like the '80s electric drum sounds of the Simmons kit, which are really prominent on this record.
Yeah.
Same thing with the synth bass and the synthesizer. There's huge amounts of synthesizer on this album, which was a conscious decision. We kind of like we always knew that there's bound to be something different when we entered the studio after 6 years, or actually 7 years, because Invader was released 6 years ago. So it's been quite a ride after that one, and so much has happened. I mean, so much has happened that it's kind of like impossible to go into the studio as the same person that we were back in, you know, what was it, 2015 when we recorded Invader. So it's, you know, there's always going to be something different, and Reckless Love is not the type of band that keeps releasing like similar type of albums. There's going to be evolvement every, you know, we're going to evolve every time, and we have to, otherwise we would, you know, just stay still and probably wither away and die. It's, you know, it's not in the nature of Reckless Love to be like AC/DC.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I think they're great.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
But in the same time, they're still pretty much doing the same song as they've done for 50 years. So we can't do that. I mean, we need to evolve, and that's in the nature of Reckless Love, and that's what we do best. And, you know, it comes straight from the heart, and, you know, it's no use of holding it back. The sounds remind us pretty much from the early influences that every single one of us has experienced. It's kind of like reminds us from the arcade games. We kind of like grew up in an arcade, each and every one of us, during the early '90s, because we were kind of like during the '80s we were too young. We missed out on all the fun. And during the '90s, during the second coming of the arcade halls, we did have Nintendos and Segas and stuff like that at home, but the console games weren't the same. I mean, we went to the arcade hall to play pinball and air hockey, all the Sega rallies and like Street Fighters and and Mortal Kombats, and that's the type of sounds that we grew up around. And that's also the first time we heard rock music, or remember hearing rock music. I mean, it's kind of like during those years that we were in the arcades.
Yeah, is there some bands which influenced Turborider, maybe current pop music, or albums like I don't know, Turbo Lower, Jump, or Hysteria?
Yeah, pretty much all of those. 1984 by Van Halen, 5150 by Van Halen too. I mean, Why Can't This Be Love? Those type of songs that have a lot of synths, and that record 5150 actually has the Simmons, the crazy Simmons '80s electric drum kit. Alex Van Halen used that a lot. Of course, Judas Priest's Turbo. You mentioned Hysteria, that's also there always. And David Lee I mean, Def Leppard, they famously used the same electric drum kit
yeah,
because of course, for the obvious reason. But then there's pretty much Billy Idol's the whole career, ZZ Top's Afterburner and Eliminator. There's a bunch of David Lee Roth's Skyscraper in there, and yeah. What comes to the modern contemporary artists, I've mentioned synthwave because that's kind of like the new genre. That's, you know, it's up and coming. You know, it's not like we try to be synthwave now, but it's just like you know, there's a little flavor of it in there to make it, you know, to make it modern, because we didn't want to do everything like. Because I mean, Van Halen and David Lee Roth solo and, you know, Turbo Lover and all those type of songs, those were did like 40 years ago. Yeah. Why do something that was already done 40 years ago? It's not like that's stupid. I mean, we already have those. We needed to do something new, and synthwave was pretty much like the perfect kind of glue to how to make that jump from the crazy cheesy 80s sounds into modern sounds. That was pretty much like what we were thinking, and I've actually been a fan of the genre. I've listened to quite a lot of synthwave artists for the past 5-6 years maybe. I first saw this movie called Drive. I'm not sure if you know it. There's Ryan Gosling plays the male lead part. It's kind of like a grim, dark type of movie, but there's some synthwave music on that soundtrack, and that's my first contact on the synthwave music. And I remember thinking, this reminds me of the sounds of my youth. So there's a lot of Van Halen, there's a lot of Judas Priest in these sounds, and there's a lot of that arcade gaming type of sounds there, you know, the sequence synthesizer. So it made me think that maybe we could incorporate some of this into our music, and we actually have done that throughout the years on every record. Even on the first record, there's a song called Back to Paradise, which has those same type of drum sounds and the and the synthesizers, you know, the sequenced synthesizers in the background. And there's at least one song on every record.
Yeah, you're right.
So we've kind of like played around with the idea for years, and this time we just decided to turn that side of us up to 11.
Yeah, when I heard the new album for the first time, I was a little bit surprised. My first reaction was wow. But every time I listen to it, I like it more and more and more. And the songs like Turborider or Eyes of the Maniac are among the best songs from Reckless Love for me as of now.
Thank you very much.
I think how it will be sound live.
They're gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we unfortunately we had to postpone the European tour.
Yeah.
But it's now pushed back until September. But nevertheless, we went through with the tour rehearsal, or the production rehearsal that we had booked for the tour, and we went into the rehearsal, and you know, we wanted to find out how the new songs are going to sound live, and we were quite blown away by it. I mean, those new songs actually fucking rule live. I mean, it's going to be incredible. We're going to bring all the electric drums live.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy fun too, because the sound is very different from what we're used to. It's kind of like, it's very cool. And to actually see the magic happen right in front of your eyes when Jesus banging those electric drums, it's so weird, and it's electrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
And the synthesizers, they add an element to our music that wasn't there before. So it kind of like takes the band. I mean, I'm not suggesting it takes us up to a higher level, but I'm suggesting it takes us way higher than before. It's crazy. It kind of like rolls over you. It's a huge difference in sound. But yeah, and it's going to be a hybrid too. There's going to be the old type of sounds as well. So we're not going to abandon the old sound altogether. We're gonna have the acoustic drums there too, and we're gonna play the old songs as well. So no worries on that. If somebody is not into the new songs, there's going to be old songs as well.
Okay. Yeah, cool. The first when I heard the electric drum sounds, it sounds a little bit strange and rare, as you said, yeah. But over the time, everything falls into place. And tell us something about how you recorded the album. And was it different or difficult sometimes?
It was trial and error for sure, and for some reason, I must say it quite. It's like I must say honestly, drummers per se don't really like the electric drums or the idea of the electric drums.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, but it seems like every drummer that I talk to, they hate the electric drums, and it's weird. I mean, guitarists never had that same problem.
Maybe it's harder to
they
play on.
always want the electrics in the guitars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all kidding aside, we had a talk with Jesus, and at first he was quite skeptic about it. He wasn't sure what to think of it, what to think of the idea. But I think he's pretty sold on the idea right now, that once we saw it through. And I think it's all about courage, to the bravery to do it, actually to give it your all. I mean, there's no point of introducing a little bit of that into your music. Just go all the way, man. That was the trick. And yeah, we tried everything, and those just sounded so exciting and so kind of like so exhilarating. It was something different, and it felt like we're not playing it safe. And in my opinion, rock and roll is not supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be exciting and dangerous, and that's how we felt like doing it when we were doing those drums.
Yeah, it sounds.
And yeah. And another thing about the recording process, the synthesizers, those, of course, we worked with Jonas Parkkonen, who's the former guitarist from Santa Cruz, and he's produced like huge bands like Apocalyptica and Lost Society from Finland.
Yeah.
And he's in my opinion, he's the hottest producer right now on earth, because he's a multi-talented guy. He's a really good guitarist. He has a vast knowledge of music in general and all the technical aspects of it. And he has a really good ear for a catchy melody. So we co-wrote the song with him, and it was way different than before, because we had never worked with him before. And although we've known Jonas for more than 10 years, so it was awesome to work with him. He's also, I think he's 10 years younger than us, so he kind of like gave a fresh breath of air into the songs as well.
Yeah. Okay.
An awesome guy.
Yeah. And Pepe sounds perfect on this record too. His solos are amazing, and his flight of the Cobra is like your eruption for me.
Yeah,
it's kind of. What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but then again, it started out as a cheesy. Like all good ideas, they start out as jokes. So that was originally because that was kind of like a challenge. I think we, like the three of us, when we were writing the songs, me, myself, Jonas, our producer, and Pepe, there's three, between us three, we kind of like were challenging each other all the time. So I was talking to the guys, because they were like composing the intro for for like a Cobra, and I kind of like challenged them all, like, well, how cheesy can you go? Yeah, that's good, but I mean, can you go even more over the top? Nah, that's nothing. Go higher, take it to another atmosphere. And then Jonas came up, all right, let's do a guitar solo intro. And what's the craziest guitar solo intro? What's the cheesiest thing you can think of? And Pepe went like tapping, because nobody does tapping nowadays, and that's so 80s. And me and Jonas were like, perfect, let's go with tapping, let's take that over the top. And that was pretty much like the whole process for it. And afterwards, we kind of thought this needs to be a separate track because it's. I think it was Pepe who came up with the idea to call it "The Flight of the Cobra."
Okay.
That's such a funny title, and we just decided, oh shit, this needs to be its own track. Let's extend it to a minute and call it a track.
It sounds great. It sounds great. Yeah. And tell me about the Back at the Moon. And why did you choose this title from Ozzy Osbourne?
Well, that's funny that you should ask it right after I told you about the challenges and challenging each
It was
other.
another challenge.
Yeah, I think that was something like that because, not consciously, but I mentioned it to Jonas that Reckless Love has never actually recorded like a true cover of a song. We've done like acoustic versions of Hysteria, and we actually did a version of The Boys Are Back in Town on Born to Break Your Heart EP, but not like a full-blown electric cover. And he was like, why is that? And I just told him that we just haven't found the perfect song yet. And 2 days later he goes, you should definitely cover Bark at the Moon. And we were like, why? It's perfect as it is. and he went like, yeah, but it's different. It's classic rock. Now you're doing this new type of synth wavy kind of like mixture of sleaze and synthwave and your own brand of merry metal. It's going to be so different. It doesn't have to be better. Just make it different. And it has the perfect rhythm kind of like sequence in it. The rhythmic quality of the song fits perfectly for your style. And we kind of like tried out the idea because we already had like Turborider. We already had some of the songs on the record, and all the synthwave elements kind of like led to the point that we had kind of like, this is the fastest record that we've recorded. It's kind of like the tempo is higher throughout the whole record than on any of the other records. And Bark at the Moon is quite high tempo, and it has this rhythm in the guitar, and it kind of like fit in perfectly with the synthesizers and the electric drums as well. And we started fooling around with the idea, and it ended up like better than we expected. I mean, Ozzy doesn't have any vocal harmonies on his version, and we decided to go full on the vocal harmonies. There's some me and Pepe, we do vocal harmonies on the chorus, on the second line of the chorus, which sounds amazing into my ear. And of course the electric drums and the synthesizers and that sequence, that's awesome. We didn't do anything about the guitar parts though. Pepe kind of like faithfully recreated Jake Lee's like original thing, but that's the whole point. I mean, we all thought it's perfect, so there's nothing to add to it. So just why pick something that isn't broken? So it was perfect, and I think he did a marvelous job with it. And yeah, I agree with you saying that Pepe's guitars sound amazing on this record.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds really great. Yeah. Okay. Your song Monster is got into movie Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
You feel already like a Hollywood stars. I saw on your Facebook page today. The Monster was in the ice hockey game, Washington against Columbus.
Washington Capitals against Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah,
I noticed that too. It's weird how things go like that sometimes. It's a little over a year ago we got an agreement from HBO asking that James Gunn is doing this series from called The Peacemaker, and it's a spin-off from this and this and this, and he wants to use this song of yours in the series. And there was like an approximate length of the scene. Back then it was 1.5 minutes or something like that. And they kind of like said that it could change, and we thought that of course they might cut it shorter and something like that. And they had an agreement idea, and we were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. This sounds awesome. We want to do it. And we were already high-fiving each other at that point. It was like a dream come true. And of course, at that point, we knew nothing about the series. And this year, when it started happening, when it started coming out, that was crazy because we couldn't tell anybody about the agreement. And until the episode 6 came out, where our song was, and we were kind of like waiting on it, and huge news in Finland about Hanoi Rocks making big headlines to, because he had already chosen Hanoi Rocks to be on that soundtrack as well. And we were like, Jesus Christ, Hanoi Rocks is there too. Reckless Love is next week. This is going to be awesome. And it turned out to be the most streamed TV show on the planet as we speak. So it's the most successful TV series of 2022. Incredible. It was so weird. We had so many people to follow us on our social media accounts. People went to find our Spotify account, and Monster, that's making new records, like how many people have heard it during a day. So yeah, it was crazy how well it was received. And I think James Gunn has a huge role in that. He wrote the show so well, and the scene that the song is in is perfect. He actually ended up using the whole song, so it's actually it's even a little bit longer than the original song. He wanted to edit it a bit longer, so the last chorus comes in twice. Oh, okay. We don't even play it like that live. Cool. So that was so exciting to see it like that, and to hear his words about the song. That was crazy, because he told us that it's one of his most favorite scenes in the whole series. Okay. And that's crazy to get that kind of feedback from a Hollywood director. That's priceless. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things that you kind of like, that's a bucket list thing, a bucket list thing that I never even knew I wanted to experience.
Okay. Okay, that's great. You deserve it, guys. It's very great news.
Thanks very much.
I have 2 more questions. A little bit another topic. A year ago, we lost a great musician, Alexi Laiho. Yeah, this big friend of you, and big loss for us all. But I want to ask you, what is about the local band now? Will you go on with it, or how it goes?
I don't think so. I mean, of course, sure, we are still friends with all of the guys, and we keep in contact. And it's been a really good, it's been really good to have those friends close when the news came in. It was so surprising. And personally, I can say that we didn't, me and Alexi, we didn't know each other for that long. I mean, the first time we ever met was in the local band sound check for the first show. And so, but we instantly hit it off. Like, we were really good friends, and I felt like he was kind of like the big brother I'd never had. We kind of like listened to all the same artists, same music. He was only 4 years older than I was, so he was pretty much like a big brother to me, and all the same influences, except with the exception that he just took the completely opposite type of references from it. He made it extremely aggressive and harsh kind of music, and Reckless Love is on the other side. We're on the sunny side.
That's true.
But yeah, nevertheless, we shared all the same influences, and yeah, it was a massive blow. And yeah, I must admit, I must have been like a bit depressed a year ago, and not even a bit. I mean, it was a huge blow, so it was massively kind of like depressing to hear those news and to cope with it. It was a major loss. And I think, I mean, I still during the night, I sometimes still see, I'm still like kind of like talking to him in my dreams. It's weird, because I'm having these conversations with him that we went through when he was still alive. Actually, he heard a version of Outrun before he died. It was like a demo of the song that I played him. Outrun is one of the songs that was written before we entered the studio with Jonas.
Okay.
And Like a Cobra is another one. So those were kind of like my last memories of Alexi, like talking on the phone with him and messaging him like yeah, little before he passed away. It was a huge blow and made me kind of like, I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of like got into that type of mood, because even though this album still sounds like Reckless Love and it has those like feel good songs that Reckless Love usually does, and that's kind of like the essence of Reckless Love, but there are still darker undertones on this record. And I think that's one of the reasons why they got in there. I mean, because I was kind of like I was swimming in darker waters last year when we entered the studio, for sure.
Okay, yeah, you can do nothing about it now.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the fate of the local band, it's, yeah, I think that's it. It's you know, of course we can't, nobody can replace Alexi, so there's no point in going on. But yeah, I sure hope to get on stage with the guys on some project that's, at some point.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Okay, another question. Crashdiet's Unattractive Revolution this year 15th anniversary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 15? Wow.
Yeah, 15 years. 15 years. What do you think now about this album, and what are your memories of that time? I saw you in Frankfurt on Main 2008 with Hardcore Superstar.
All right.
When I was there.
Yeah.
I saw you with Crashdiet there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, good memories. That first European tour that we did, that was my first European tour that I ever did with Hardcore Superstar. They're still all very good friends. We don't keep in touch every day or every week, even maybe not even every month, but every time they come to Finland, of course, I'm there. I want to see them live, and hopefully I'll meet them as well. And we were a band for a year and a half, so I have lots of memories of that time. Good ones and not so good ones, but I think the not so good ones are, are kind of like turning to gold now because of time. I kind of like cherish those as well, because those were big lessons for me. I was young. I was doing rock and roll for as a profession for the first time in my life. So that was a big lesson for me in every sense, in both in positive and in the negative as well. But everything that I got out of it was, all the experiences were massively positive. I've got good memories, and I've got nothing but very fond memories of the time. And I wish the guys all the luck in the world. And I think they might have struck gold with the latest singer, Gabriel Keys.
Yeah,
I think he's the best singer in the band. So I think this is the best era for Crashdiet. I think they're doing an awesome job.
Cool. Okay, Olli, thank you. That's it. I want to thank
you very much.
All my heart, yeah, and I wish you all the best, you and your family, and hope we see us one day face to face on the tour somewhere.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
You.
Hope to see you soon. I hope the world opens up and the pandemic, all the bullshit by the pandemic, like blows over, and we can finally live free without the restrictions. That would be awesome.
Okay, so Turborider, top. We see you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.